All right, we are back here on SportsLine tonight. Phone lines are open for you. Entire bank, as a matter of fact. 737-7767 is the number. Anything you want to talk about in the world of sports, we can bring it into the program tonight. But in the meantime, let's go back and revisit the Titans' win on Sunday in Chicago. Titans taking on the Bears. As we go to the highlights, this was a game the Titans absolutely had to have. And Marcus Mariota once again comes up big. That is a beautiful ball to Rashard Matthews, who's emerged as a top wide receiver. Mariota, 2 touchdowns again, but here come the Bears in the fourth. Matt Barkley making his first career start, brings them back to within 6 from down 20. But on 4th down, the Titans defense finally makes a play, comes up with the stop, and the Titans hold on. 27-21 the final. They are now 6-6 on the season. That was a huge moment. And the Titans were a bit fortunate. Let's be honest about that. Titans absolutely fortunate to get away with what happened in the fourth quarter with Jason McCourty off the field, with the pass rush unable to get home, and the DBs just getting burned. That was a game they very easily and probably should have lost, or at least gone down with 30 seconds to play and seen what Marcus Mariota could do. That said, they did what they had to do. They made a play. They got off the field. They win the game. And over the course of this season, as we talked about last night, here they are, 6-6. They are 500. And you can look back at the course of 12 games, and there are several to go in each column. Obviously, 6 wins, 6 losses, but you could flip-flop a couple of those on each side. I mean, week 1 against Minnesota, Titans turned the ball over 3 times. It leads directly to 17 Minnesota points. 2 of them were defensive touchdowns. They lose the game by 8, 9. You know, that's the game right there. Week 2 in Detroit, they scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to steal one on the road. They've fallen behind by 3 scores in road games in Houston and San Diego and Indianapolis. Almost came back to win all 3 of them. A little bit of quicker start. Maybe you win a couple of those games. But Sunday in Chicago, much like Detroit, if one play goes the other way, could be a loss. It's a very fine line. But that, in a way, shows the progress of this team, because the last couple of years, the Titans weren't anywhere close to the line most of the time. It wasn't a fine line. They were miles from the line of winning and losing. So now they're there every week. And what we've seen so far is this is a 500 football team. They win some, they lose some. Through 12 weeks, they're 6-6. The thing now, though, they're in a playoff race. 4 huge games left, and they're going to have to win more than they lose to get into the playoffs. They're going to have to earn it in December. And thank heavens we can say that, because it's been a long time since the Titans could earn anything other than a higher draft pick in December. So finally, we have a playoff race to talk about, and we'll see. Huge progress, huge strides have been made, but now the time's to see just how good is this team. Have they taken that next step from progress to being really good, from progress to being a playoff team? We'll find out this month. All right, let's go to the phones. Good evening, Jeff. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead. You're on the air.
I wanted to comment about the college football thing, Tennessee and Vanderbilt.
Sure.
To me, I don't think it's so much that Butch Jones is a bad coach. I think it's more of he just got Jalen Hurd, I think is his name. Basically what you got, sometimes you get a player in there that, thinks they're bigger than the team. It's an ego trip thing. It's like thinks they're too good to play by the rules or something. And you had that, with Kelly Washington up there a few years ago. And it's like the Titans, they've had that issue too with Pac-Man Jones and Vince Young and, Vanderbilt with the rape players with the rape case. What you got to have is players that are willing to play by the rules, not get on these ego trips, and get on these, hey, I'm the romping, stomping cat daddy or whatever, deal or whatever. That, to me, that's what it is. It's playing by the rules issue, self-discipline.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, Jeff, we appreciate the call. I think some of the comparisons there, I certainly am not going to compare Jalen Hurd to the situation at Vanderbilt, which was of a criminal nature and obviously horrendous. But I do see the point in having guys that all are focused on the same mission and having a team that's going in the same direction. And the interesting thing is, to me, again, Butch Jones talks about the team in their years. Team 119 last year, largely made up of a lot of the same principal players, right? Josh Dobbs, Jalen Hurd, the Derek Barnetts, Jalen Reeves-Maben. Certainly injuries play a factor. But when you looked at Team 119 last year, they seemed to be growing in the right direction and coming together. They turned the ball over less. They found ways to win games late in the season. They got on a run. They got hot. They felt good about each other. This team, for whatever reason, even early on in the season, with all of those same pieces back, didn't seem to have that same mojo. For a while, they survived. But as the year went on, that divide seemed to be even more and more evident. And it's difficult to win. You got 85 guys on scholarship, heck of a lot more guys in the locker room on a college football team at the Division I level. If all those pieces aren't pulling in the same direction, it can be a mess. And that's what happened this year for Tennessee. We saw all the warning signs early, the slow starts, not being ready to play early. They kept masking them because they kept coming back and winning, sometimes improbably, like at Georgia on the Hail Mary. But ultimately, it caught up with them. Is all of that on Butch Jones? No. A lot of that has to go to the players. Some of it goes to circumstance, like the injuries and all that. But at the end of the day, when you're the head coach, the buck stops with you. And that, I think, is why he's open to criticism right now. Because this was a team that was poised to go to Atlanta. This was the team for Tennessee to break through and win the SEC East for the first time in 10 years, basically. And they couldn't get it done. All right, back to the phones now. Hello, Josh. You're next up here on SportsLine.
All right, can you hear me good enough?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, yeah, I kind of have a different feeling than your last caller had. Might be due to my abstaining from libations tonight, I'm not sure, but I have a feeling that's the case. I believe that if you look at the two programs side by side, that being Vanderbilt and the University of Tennessee, you have to understand that I believe you could easily say this year Butch Jones has developed his talent that he played with this year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his team. He's in control of what happened there with these kids. He didn't walk into somebody else's draft class. It's his. Derek Mason, Vanderbilt, pretty much the same situation. I'm a Vanderbilt fan. I was ready to back the truck up to his house at the beginning of this year. I've since changed my mind, obviously. I've seen the team progress. I've seen the team develop. I have seen a quarterback who couldn't stay in the pocket or out of the pocket without losing the football, one way or the other, turn into somebody who looked like Tom Brady out there against the Volunteers this year. That's who that player was developed. I watched Ralph Webb run circles around opponents, both in conference and out of conference, all year long, and I watched him get better and better. I watched him get NFL caliber by the end of this year. Now, on the flip side, with Butch Jones and the team that he controlled and the team that he built and the bricks that he put together and the wall that he wanted to build, I watched a team walk away. I watched a player walk away from a team where he was the number 4 all-time leading rusher, and he decided to walk away from that. He decided to walk away from a legacy of his own there at the university to find something better in different pastures. Now, I'm not here to say what happened between him and Butch. I'm not here to say what happened between him and the team. I believe there's obviously an effect on the team, but that goes back to my point of what did the coach have to do with the outcome of the year, well, with the end results of the season and where the Tennessee Volunteers football program is right now, how much of that is directly attributed to the coach. And I believe it boils down to exactly what you see at the end of the year. I believe you see a man who's faced adversity in Derek Mason, who's pushed through that adversity and pushed forward his team and propelled athletes to the next level, where you've seen Butch Jones, who's done nothing but cause division. He's taking good players and caused personnel divisions in between them that cause them to leave the team, and then he's caused other players who are way more talented than what we started the year with on paper, and those people are now barely scraping by with their stats. So I think it's in large part due to Butch Jones. I really think if you extract him from the University of Tennessee, you start to solve the problem there, and that's coming from a Vanderbilt fan, and that's just because I've seen what happens when a coach gets behind his players. They gel as a team and they become better athletes, versus when players are supposed to be part of your program, but your program isn't producing anything for them, you see.
Yeah, Josh, I appreciate the call. That's very interesting stuff there. And look, it's hard to completely disagree with that. I think there is an aspect of you're relying on 18 and 19 and 20-year-old kids at times, and they don't always make the best decisions in the world. And again, we don't know all the pieces of the Jalen Hurd situation, but there was clearly some friction there between Hurd and his teammates, Hurd and the coaching staff. I don't know if you can put that at the foot of Butch Jones. You know, when one of your best players walks away from the team, I can't imagine Butch Jones was pushing for that. So that's a circumstance he kind of inherited, and I don't know if he deserves blame for that. But at the end of the day, you are right about this. He recruited everybody in that program now. Those are his guys. This is his team. And for whatever reason, the injuries, the turmoil, etc., by the end of the year, it had a different look than the team that started at the beginning of the year. It was not the team he envisioned. And to some degree, as the captain, you're responsible when your ship gets that far off course. Sometimes weather and wind and all that stuff plays a factor. But you're the captain. You got to figure out how to steer around that and get to where you're supposed to be. And this Tennessee team did not do that. And ultimately, that falls at the feet of Butch Jones. Again, I think the overall body of work tells you that he's worth another shot to see if he can calm that turmoil, because we hadn't heard any about that until this year. So can he calm that in an offseason and get things back on track next year? I think he's earned that right. But I think he's also deserving of some of the criticism right now based off of what we've seen. Let's go to Brian. Brian, hello. You're next up on SportsLine.
What was up with that guy earlier saying the Titans were going to go to the Super Bowl? What was he on?
He's hopeful.
You were very polite to him, man. I would have went off on him.
I'm not going off on anybody for wanting the Titans to go to the Super Bowl.
The only one you ever go off on is on me. Hey, listen, the secondary of the Titans is poor. They're bad. Oof, they stink.
That's true.
The Titans secondary, they're no good.
That's absolutely correct.
And I don't think that this quarterback is the franchise quarterback. Who's the other guy? He's the ex-football player. He does the SportsLine sometimes. What's his name?
Talking about Neil O'Donnell?
He's a big guy.
Neil O'Donnell.
Yeah. He was trying to say that, no, I don't think that was him. Is it, bald guy?
Oh, the other guy who does this show? That's John Burton.
Yeah, big guy. I tried to tell him that quarterback, he's not our franchise quarterback. And I said, before we found out that it was not as, well, I don't know the phrase, not as great as you thought he was not. I just thought that, and hear me out, everybody just say I'm wrong and always bad person. I thought that we should have, I don't know, right when you get a player, I don't know if it's possible to trade him or let somebody else take the money that you promised the guy. How does that work? Like, say, if we just said, hey, you know, another team wanted him, the only way we could get off scotch-free is they agreed to pay his full contract, right?
Wait, you want them to trade Marcus Mariota?
I don't know if trade is the right word. I don't even want anything for him. I know everybody's going to jump on me. He's what a bad guy I am. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we can keep him. But
Brian.
Because it's got to be more than the secondary. What about the coach? Is Malarkey, you know, there's a phrase, full of malarkey. I don't know. I don't know. The guy, is he calling the plays on the sideline, malarkey?
No, he's not. He's the head coach.
Okay, the offensive coordinator, or is the quarterback calling him?
It's the offensive coordinator.
I'd like that job.
All right, Brian, we appreciate the call. I'm not going to go off on you, but I do think you're a bit crazy to think that Marcus Mariota should be traded. He has thrown multiple touchdown passes in 8 consecutive weeks. He is leading the NFL since week 5 in quarterback passer rating and touchdowns thrown. The Titans have scored 26 or more points in 7 of the last 8 weeks, and this was an offense people were worried about before the season started. One of the concerns of Mariota before the year was, could he throw the deep ball? He's completed 46 balls, 20 or more yards downfield this year. He has done everything that you could possibly want him to do, and he's 23 years old as of a month ago. He has a bright future in front of him, and it's going to be here in Tennessee. He is the building block. You're right. The secondary, to borrow your word, is poo. It's not very good right now. There's no question about that, and the Bears showed us that on Sunday. But that's certainly not Marcus Mariota's fault, and you're not trading Mariota to fix that. The secondary is going to get fixed in the offseason, maybe in free agency, but certainly in the draft. That is going to be a high priority for John Robinson. What they can do between now and then, that's going to be up to Mike Mularkey and the coaching staff, and frankly doing it with smoke and mirrors. Because on the roster, they don't have it right now. But think about where this team came in 1 year and what they did with the upgrades of the roster and what they might be able to do in the next year, and then understand that the biggest reason why they are where they are right now is because of how good Marcus Mariota is. And that is the truth about the Titans right now. Let's go to James. James, hello. You're next up here on SportsLine.
Hey, Steve. How's it going, buddy?
Going well, buddy.
Now, I tell you what, at last calling, I think he's a little bit drunk or something. But, man, Marcus Mariota, I think he's a sure enough franchise quarterback. The kid is just humble. And that's everything you want in a quarterback. The guy just don't talk a lot. He's real humble, and he plays when he's on the field. And the thing, too, in Tennessee, you know, with Jalen Hurd and all that, I believe that was a cancer to the whole team. I mean, this thing didn't happen overnight, Steve. I mean, this thing has been going for all season. The media had just heard about it. We ain't heard about it, and they finally just come out. He just took all he could take. It was a cancer. I believe it was a big cancer to that team all year long, and there was problems in the locker rooms. And that's what was going on. But I like the move, though, that Mularkey and John Robinson made by releasing Parrish Cox. I mean, it set a tone. It told those players out there playing that, look, if you don't put up, you're not playing. And that's plain and simple. And Titans always, you know, they'd always let guys go on and play them all year. I think it's the best move, probably one of the best moves they've made all year, because it sets a tone to that team that tells players, look, if you're not going to perform, you're out of here.
Yeah, no question about it. And, James, thank you for the call. Look, it's a very bold move. And I like what you're talking about with the accountability. We'll, I guess, see how good of a move it is, depending on how these young guys step up behind him. There was a reason Parrish Cox has started for this team for most of the last 2 years. It's because he was the next best cornerback in the room besides Jason McCourty. Even when he wasn't playing well, he was better than the next guy in the room. So even though he hasn't played well, and he's been really bad the last month or so, with that being the case and his confidence going down, even with that being the case, now you've just taken him out of the situation. He's no longer on the team, no longer available. So can Valentino Blake and LaShawn Sims and now Kalen Reed, who has been on the practice squad and never taken a real NFL snap, can those guys step up and get it done for this team? We'll see. We'll see if that can get done. And how the Titans will defend in the secondary down the stretch is going to be critical, because, as we know, the NFL is a copycat league. So when you see a team do what the Bears did to the Titans on Sunday and attack that secondary with quick routes and guys getting separation and making plays down the field against them, you can bet these 4 opponents remaining on the schedule are going to try and fit that into what they do and go after that secondary. That's a concern moving forward for sure. And we'll see if those young guys can step up and fill the void and then some for what Parrish Cox was, or at the end wasn't doing for this Titans team. Still a couple phone lines open. Got several callers waiting. We will get to you right on the other side. Couple other lines open. 737-7767 is the number. Back with more right after this on SportsLine on News Channel 5+.